There's a significant amount of Kratos rules. Kratos doesn't do backflips. Kratos doesn't run from anything.
He never falls on his back. He's not a builder.
Kratos always dives himself into the middle of battle.
The most important aspect is selling Kratos' nature and his personality, and making you feel like you're powerful as hell.
For the past 8 years, the team at Sony Santa Monica has been chipping away at a formula for combat in the God of War series, taking inspiration from games like Street Fighter and Devil May Cry, and blending in original ideas to figure out what makes sense for a story about a character fighting the gods in Greek mythology. We recently visited their studio to talk about what makes God of War's combat unique, and to look at the process behind how they created what you see on screen in God of War 3.
It all comes down to like the design and the way it feels in your hands, and that's the thing that I find is constantly changing. Is a lot of times you'll come up with an idea and it's just not fun. Even though you see it as being something that's fun, once you sit down and start doing it, it's not fun. So that's where you have to reassess and start readjusting.
There are a lot of new ideas that come in. By no means, they're not bad ideas, they're good ideas, but they might not work well with the franchise.
We do have somewhat of a formula, but for us it was making sure that the game didn't feel too different.
And doing it in a way that anybody can pick up and just start feeling like that right off the bat. But also there's that, extra layers of complexity to it that, as many people, people will always say, Ninja Gaiden, DMC, they're way more technical. They still mention God of War kind of in the same circles. I mean, those are fantastic games, combat's amazing, and we, try to give that wide range so everybody can have fun with it.
I guess there's a couple different tiers to it, right? There's the super hardcore DMC and Bayonetta games, and down below is, I don't want to say that they're like worse games or anything like that, but
it's a different approach.
Just not finely tuned. Games like Conan, or I guess a bad reference would be the Ghost Rider game.
Okay.
That kind of stuff.
These are
right?
easy targets.
Yeah. We're kind of in the soft, creamy middle. DMC, I think that's by far been the most inspirational game for all action adventure genre. I mean, we make reference to DMC all the time, still to this day, of like DMC doors and walls that stop you in the fight arenas.
I think we're completely different beasts. Their combat is kind of over the top. We don't try to put Kratos into comical situations or anything like that.
You get Kratos moving too fast, then it gets into that ninja-like feeling. He doesn't feel grounded, and that's a big strength I think Kratos has, is he feels like a weighted, powerful, strong, hard as a rock. He's not going to move, as compared to, bouncing off of people's heads and flipping all around.
To get a closer look at how the team works, Poole gave us a demonstration of what a combat designer does on a day-to-day basis, and showed off how God of War 3's new combat grapple move came to be.
For the most part, combat designers are dealing with these text files all day long. It's a bunch of gibberish to a lot of people, but it means the world to us. When we first get a move into the game, it starts out with just an animation by itself. There'll be an initial document that we send out to them of like, this is the name, here's a small description of it. If they're doing something with Kratos, everybody knows the rules for Kratos and his personality. If we're doing something with AI, there's a lot more back and forth of getting that AI's personality. Grunts, for example, they're kind of half dead, so they need to slump around. They're not completely in control of their body, and their limbs are kind of falling apart and rotting. We'll give that to the animator. It can go a lot of different ways, but sometimes they can just go run with that idea, and they'll create these awesome animations. We'll get it back and put it in, and it's awesome, smooth, everything's great. But then sometimes there's like, we really need this move to hit a lot faster, or this move is way too cheap, let's make it hit slower, or the aiming on this move is really hard to control, so let's make sure it has a wider arc, stuff like that. So there's tons of back and forth, and that's why the animators sit right up here with us. We have a tennis ball attached to a rope for basically Kratos' blade. The animators use that stuff all the time. A lot of times they'll film themselves because they really need to see from outside of their head and what motions they're making. We take part in that a lot. Like, you know, we'll come over to the animator's desk and be like, you know, we really want this move to feel like this, and you know, and we'll discuss back and forth and jump around like idiots all day long. When we were working on this, DMC4 came out and they did their own version of the Devil Bringer. And we were like, damn it, they got to it before us. Because it's a natural...
Spider-Man got to it before that.
Yeah, that's true. And for us, it was just like, it's just a natural extension of Kratos. It's something we've always wanted to get in. And then we saw that and we're like, okay, that's cool. And, you know, we looked at their variation of it. And what they always did is, they always brought the enemy to you. And, you know, our take on it is Kratos always dives himself into the middle of battle. Definitely gives you a different feel. In DMC, a lot of the AI are kind of like toys to you, and you're just juggling them all day long, playing with what you want. But then our game, we do have some of those toy enemies, but we have some of the tougher ones where, yeah, Kratos just wants to dive right in the middle of a battle. And the combat grapple gave us all of that. So this is the actual name of the animation file, a grapple X whiff. There's actually multiple animations that go along with it. There's this 1, 2, and 3. And the reason that is because you can actually animate 3 different ways. So if there's an enemy on the ground, it'll animate this way. If there's an enemy up in the air, it'll go this way, and there's kind of an in-between. The code takes care of tweening between those animations. This is him like basically grappling downward. And the way that we use this is there's a wraith in the game that can burrow underground. You can actually fish him out of the ground. Once you see it in the final game, you're like, well, yeah, of course, that's the way it should be done. But trying to figure all that out from scratch, that's the really hard part. And you get there eventually. It's just a matter of iteration and testing and you know, working with the animator back and forth on getting the feel right.
Pretty much from August until just a couple weeks ago, we were here till midnight, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, almost every single day.
Can't sleep, and because you're thinking about the game and all the things that you got to fix.
It was one of the most stressful things I've ever done before in my life. Easily. I don't want to mess up this game for the fans that have, you know, come to, you know, hold this title in such high regard. And I don't want to, primarily, I don't want to screw things up for people in the studio, because we've been working on this franchise for a long time, and we care about it just as much, if not more than anybody. We hold it near and dear.